You like dragons? Imagine dragging these nuts across your forehead.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. The latest from three-division champion Mikaela Mayer saying, "Some say belts don't matter, but the topic of belts has been an essential part of every fight negotiation I've had. They affect my leverage, my purse, and my legacy, so I will not be vacating my WBC title in order to go 3-minute rounds against Chantel Cameron. The cons simply outweigh the pros for me at this time in my career. Ball's in Chantel's court."
Where does Mikaela hold the WBC?
The subject of 3-minute rounds for a women's boxing match has been a recurring theme here on the channel and certainly in the sport, getting mixed reviews. Some are for it, some are against it, saying it takes away from the fast-paced action you normally see in a 2-minute round. We know that MVP as a promotion has become the biggest advocate for 3-minute rounds in a women's boxing match on the premise that if the women have more time to work, then theoretically they'll have more time to produce knockouts, but that really hasn't been the case. Alicia Baumgartner fought for 3-minute rounds, and she hasn't knocked anybody out in years.
So the added minute is not having the desired effect, and Mikaela Mayer is unwilling to sacrifice her WBC title to fight for 3-minute rounds, which I think might be unfortunate. In the case of her and Chantel Cameron, that's going to be a dogfight.
You know that styles make fights, and Chantel Cameron's got a dog in her. So does Mikaela Mayer. Imagine those two going at it for 3-minute rounds. I think that fight might actually produce a knockout.
I don't think it's the same for every fight. Every fight doesn't need that additional minute in every round, but this one might have been able to benefit from that still. Mikaela is unwilling to drop her green and gold title to fight Chantel for 10 threes.
Now, where does she hold the green and gold title?
At junior middleweight. She's holding titles in 2 separate weight classes, which is funny because the WBO didn't used to let fighters do that. She's got the WBA and WBC titles at 154 and the WBO at 147. Have the WBO softened their stance on that?
It looks like it.
Because she's been holding these titles in separate weight classes for months now, and the WBO have not given her the ultimatum that they used to give other fighters, that you have to choose. Do you want to hold their title at one weight, or are you going to drop it because you've got titles in another?
She's telling Chantel, "I'm not dropping my green and gold title to fight you for 10 threes. Currently, both her and Chantel are champions at junior middle. Mikaela's got 2 titles there, and Chantel has 1. The fight can happen at junior middleweight, provided that Chantel is willing to play ball, and she's willing to fight Mikaela for 10 twos instead of 10 threes, and I happen to think Chantel needs a big name and a big fight more than she needs to be fighting for 3-minute rounds.
They don't want to see Chantel fight some nobody for 10 threes more than they want to see her fight someone like Mikaela for 10 twos.
Been talking a lot about Amanda Serrano's pending retirement towards the end of this year, and how once she's gone and MVP doesn't have her fights to sell anymore, the other girls coming up behind her, they have to step up.
In the 5 years that MVP has been in boxing, Amanda has proven herself a strong draw, a strong attraction. Once she's out of it, the other girls are going to have to fill that void. Now, I don't think Mikaela Mayer has any problem with that, taking on as many big fights as possible, because that's what she's already been doing. From top rank over to MVP. It's Chantel that I'm worried about, who's proven herself a picky eater in recent years.
Upon being ordered by the World Boxing Council to defend her welterweight title against Sandy Ryan, she chose to drop it, citing her desire to fight for 10 3-minute rounds instead of 10 twos.
When it's obvious that more people would have liked to have seen her fight Sandy for 10 twos than some nobody for 10 threes.
In recent years, she's taken a sort of stance to where it's Katie Taylor or nobody. That's the way that it's been. But now that she's at MVP and Mikaela's right over there with her, there's no reason they shouldn't fight. And the hang-up shouldn't be that additional minute in the round.
Who do you think wins?
Mikaela Mayer, whether it's for 10 twos or 10 threes, whether it's at 147 or 154, I think Mikaela Mayer would outfight Chantel Cameron. It's important to note that both Mikaela and Chantel are malleable. They can box and punch, move around when they need to, but in recent years, they've been showing more aggression, more dog, more come-forwardness, the both of them.
I just think Mikaela's been looking better at it. You know, Chantel Cameron hasn't wowed me in a long time, whereas Michaela
had two fantastic fights with Sandy Ryan, moves up in weight, takes on a bigger fighter in Mary Spencer, and beats the shit out of her. She might beat the shit out of Chantel.
I like Michaela Mayer in that fight. 147 or 154, 10 2-minute rounds or 10 3-minute rounds. I think Michaela wins.
Talks for her undisputed welterweight title fight with Lauren Price have since cooled, so now this is the focus. The fight with Chantel is the next best thing because they're both over there, so in theory, shouldn't be a difficult fight to make.
We'll see what happens.
Now it's time for another installment of what has fast become the most popular segment here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail!
Nothing brings the hate mail out like a David Benavidez video. A guy who goes by the name El Cabrón said, Munguia has only won 2 world titles in his entire career, and he got knocked out by a guy who has 4 knockouts in 28 fights in his own hometown.
All of which is true.
There is no way this dude is going to represent Mexican boxing. Canelo's just a coward who was afraid to fight a real Mexican fighter in David Benavidez.
And that's where it sort of gets weird, because David Benavidez is not a Mexican fighter. He's not a Mexican national. He's a North American and a mixed one. His father's Mexican, but he's said to be both Ecuadorian and Dominican. He's not going to be the face of Mexican boxing.
It doesn't matter what nickname Mike Tyson may have given him. It's had no effect on the Mexican people. They don't know David Benavidez.
To which Mr. Duke City responded, how do Mexicans not know him, but he fills up stadiums with Mexicans? Make it make sense.
Well, that's easy. David Benavidez never filled up a stadium because he never fought in one. What the fuck are you talking about?
What fucking stadium has he fought in?
Forget about a stadium. What arena has he ever sold out? Even in his last fight, you could see all of the big black curtains, the curtained off sections of that arena where they didn't even bother to open it up because they didn't expect to fill the place out.
Fill it to capacity.
Now, who you might be seeing in attendance for a David Benavidez fight is a mixed bag, a mixed group of, white Americans, black Americans, and Mexican Americans, none of which speaks to the Mexican boxing fans, the ones south of the border, who don't know David.
And that's not coming from me. That's coming from El Gran Campeón himself, Julio Cesar Chavez, who I think knows a bit about what moves the needle south of the border. And according to him, not only is David Benavidez not a Mexican national, the Mexicans down there don't even know him. He would hope
That's literally what he said.
that at some point they rally behind him and start to support him the way they support Canelo Alvarez, but at this time, they don't know that guy. To which Mr. Duke City responded, but he fights more like a Mexican than Canelita. No one cares about that bullshit. His dad is Mexican, so he has Mexican blood.
So what? That doesn't make him a Mexican national.
Stop hating because he has more balls than a real Mexican-born fighter. What has Canelita done these last 5 years?
Top the Forbes list as the highest earning boxer in boxing.
Fighting nothing but bums when he fights real competition, he always loses.
And what real competition has David Benavidez fought? Near as I can tell, he never fought the best at 168 or established himself as the best there. Didn't fight the best at 175 or at cruiser. What real competition has he fought that you are so impressed with him and so underwhelmed by Canelo?
I'm not even asking Mr. Duke City to like Canelo Alvarez, but it's not an argument that Canelo's consistently fought the better fighters across more weight classes than David.
David never fought nobody as good as a Floyd Mayweather, a Gennady Golovkin. He never unified titles like Canelo or became undisputed, even though he had the chance.
David was already there, reigning as a champion before Canelo arrived at super middleweight, and he didn't unify anything, a fact many David Benavidez fans like to skip over.
He's got no history of fighting the best fighters at any weight where he's campaigned, whereas Canelo, he does. And sometimes it didn't go his way. Sometimes he lost. But you can't say that he never fought the best.
He absolutely did and does. Your all-of-a-sudden affinity for David Benavidez, what is another souped-up American hype job, doesn't change what's on paper, Canelo Alvarez's track record. Though, as stated, I'm not asking you to like that guy. I'm asking, who did David beat?
It's a real competition that he fought, that you're so impressed with him.
You can't force it, you know. This affinity for David Benavidez seems to mostly exist in an online, digital environment, because in the real world, he's not even a blip on the radar.
You got content creators like Two-Tone the Superstar that are now referring to David as the face of boxing, but you'd never know it based on the Forbes list, or Sportico's top-earning athletes.
David's never been on either of those lists.
But he's supposed to be the face of boxing, and to Mr. Duke City and El Cabron, the face of Mexican boxing, he's not even a Mexican national. And according to Chavez, the Mexicans don't know him. I would take his word for it over yours. Who the fuck are you two supposed to be?
He's one of the greatest and most recognizable Mexican champions the country's ever produced. I would think he knows a bit about his own nation.
More than these two bozos.
I mean, look at this jackass. He's telling me that David Benavidez fills up stadiums with Mexicans? He's never even fought in a fucking stadium, you moron.
What are you, making up your own stats?
And you know who these people are. These are the people that'll sit down and watch Two-Tone the Superstar's reels, his YouTube videos, and all of the misinformation that he spreads.
The propaganda.
What passes for content creation in the boxing space these days isn't actual analysis.
It's clickbait.
And rage bait from individuals that are more concerned about the algorithm than the actual subject matter. This isn't analysis anymore in the boxing space that so many people are now getting into.
As a means to turn over a profit.
What they've figured out is, it doesn't really matter what you say, so long as it elicits a reaction. So you can get up there and say any old dumb shit.
So long as people react to it, positive or otherwise, that's all they care about, because they're just trying to turn over a profit. They care more about the algorithm than the actual subject matter. In the absence of punditry and real journalism, content creators are the ones covering the sport.
And content creators mostly focus on the algorithm.
On Twitter, on YouTube, they care more about going viral than being accurate. They care more about the algorithm than the actual subject matter.
Opetaia, stop ducking David Benavidez. Jose Benavidez has been calling your manager, calling Dana White, calling Zuffa, trying to get the fight between you and David Benavidez, and right now, you are absolutely ducking this man. Chat, listen to this right here.
And I'm going to show you. I got proofs. I'm going to tell you right now. I called Dana White also. He's not responding. I got it. I got proofs,
Yeah, man, you over there ducking, gang. Bro, it's the Mexican monster. We change lives. David Morrell, life change. Caleb Plant, life change. Andre, life change. We change lives. Stop ducking.
I called Dana White also. He's not responding. I got it. I got proofs,
Get answer the phone. Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. David Benavidez is calling. We want that fade. We want that squabble. That's what we want, gang. Respectfully, that's what we want. Pick up the phone. Pick it up.
So when it's Team Opetaia calling for the fight and it's Team Benavidez giving reasons not to do it, you don't see Two-Tone the Superstar jumping on his microphone and accusing them of ducking.
Not because Opetaia videos ain't his bread and butter. Benavidez videos are.
That's why this is not analysis. This is paid propaganda. This is not punditry.
It's promotion.
I mean, Two-Tone the Superstar doesn't find it at all odd that Team Benavidez has spent every week after the Zurdo Ramirez fight giving reasons not to fight Opetaia because he's over there at Zuffa and they don't want to box for a Zuffa belt.
Because nobody knows him and he's not a draw. David Benavidez went as far as putting off the fight for another 2 years. That's literally what he said, and I'm sure Two-Tone saw it, and all the other David Benavidez groupies.
All of which likely went along with it. So as soon as Jose Benavidez changes his tune, they change theirs. And now it's Opetaia ducking. Because Jose says so? Because he says he called Dana White?
And I'm supposed to believe him. When you've spent literally every week up until this point giving reasons not to do that fight, now you want to do it. Now you're making phone calls.
Wait, what happened to moving back down? What happened to the B-Ball fight? Didn't David Benavidez say the reason he's not going after Jai right now is because he's going after Dimitri?
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what the documents show.
First addressing the American boxing space and the content creators that act in the absence of actual journalists and real pundits. It's a circus over here. The sport doesn't get the earnest coverage in America that it gets in other boxing markets like the UK or Asia, even Australia.
Respectfully.
It's all corny catchphrases and con artists over here.
So what passes for news? Apparently, Adrian Broner's got a bloated gut that indicates cirrhosis of the liver, acting as a sex pest on Dean the Great's Twitch streams.
The Schofields, who only boxed for a single round all of last year, are back to doing the rounds on the podcasts. They're doing a lot more interviews than booking fights.
Same applies to Rolly. He doesn't seem to have a fight lined up, or Devin.
American Fighter A shaded American Fighter B on their social media. That's what passes for news in the United States. Boxing space and the news anchors
You mean the content creators?
are less focused on merit, less focused on accuracy, and more focused on the algorithm and whatever moves it, whether it's true or not. Because by the time the audience figures out it's all bullshit, they made their money already. And this grift.
What's true is that Jose Benavidez says they've tried to get in contact with Dana, but that doesn't make it true. It's only true that he said it.
Do I believe it because he said it? Absolutely not. You guys have spent the better portion of the last 2-3 weeks giving reasons not to do the fight. Now I'm to believe.
Oh, now you want to do it.
I'm not advocating against the fight if they really intend to have it.
I just don't believe them.
And I don't think for a second that this is a difficult fight to make because Turkey LL Sheik is behind it. He wants to pay for it. What Turkey wants, Turkey gets.
Neither Team Benavidez or anybody on their side has more money, more resources than Turkey. So if Turkey says he wants the fight and you want to do it, you're going to do it how he wants to do it.
You tried to call Dana White? I would think you'd be trying to call Turkey LL Sheik, since he's the one that wants to put it together, and you're the guys who don't want to go to Zuffa, who don't want to go to Paramount. Well, you don't have to, so why would you be calling Dana?
Sounds like bullshit.
What, because David Benavidez never fought on one of Turkey's shows? That's where he fought Anthony Yard. If you're serious about fighting Jai Opetaia, I would think he's the one you try to get in contact with, not Dana. And I'm telling you, I would not be at all surprised if David Benavidez does not box again for the remainder of this year, because I don't think for a second he's going back down to light heavyweight. He can't really make it, but I don't believe them about Jai either.
This bit about Jose trying to get in contact with Dana.
Call Turkey, you've got his number. You guys boxed on one of his shows, remember? How else did that happen? You get in contact with him. Another brain-dead conversation in the sport of boxing brought to you by the American boxing scene that has, by and large, the worst content creators, the worst boxing takes. The place is a goddamn joke, and American boxing is cooked.
Oh, I know that many of these channels are very big. Bigger than this one, by and large, many times over.
But don't confuse subscribers on YouTube for customers in real life, because they're not the same thing. You can be very popular online, like Rolly Romero is.
Or David Benavidez.
But in the real world, where the real money is spent, not much of it is going into their fights.
David Benavidez has been on pay-per-view 5 times, and he's yet to turn in robust numbers for any one of those pay-per-views. If they had something to brag about, they'd be bragging about it by now. It's been weeks we don't know what his numbers are.
Being internet famous allows the content creators to capitalize off making content about you.
Internet famous.
Because on the internet you're popular, but in the real world, where the real customers are and the real money gets spent,
Are you as popular with them?
you know the answer. That's why David's never been on the Forbes list, or Sporticos.
Don't confuse the internet with real life.